Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Hope you are having a sunny day. Ready for some news stories from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's wife's ex-boyfriend, who has a very strange request for OP's wife. Listen to the story to find out, and of course, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My wife is going to give birth to our twin daughters next month, and we are really excited. My wife and her ex-boyfriend were together for 5 years. They split amicably because he had to move away. They didn't maintain regular contact, but they do contact each other once in a while. Recently, my wife told me that her ex found out that he had cancer and he was dying. He chose not to undergo chemotherapy. I really do feel bad for him, but he made a really strange request. He wants to witness the birth of our children. I was really surprised by this request. My wife wants me to consider it because it's kind of his wish. I'm really upset because of 2 reasons. 1. I always wanted that to be a moment between me and my wife. 2. I don't want her ex-boyfriend witnessing the birth of our children. I'm actually looking forward to it. I canceled a really important business meeting so that I could be with my wife. I don't want to miss that for anything in this world, and I definitely don't want him there. When I told her this, she thinks I'm being selfish and that I should honor a dying man's wish. I really do empathize with him, and I'd gladly help him with anything, but I think this is not something I can agree to. Am I the a-hole here? This is a very odd request, and OP should not allow that if he doesn't want to. What's really concerning is OP's wife's approval and calling OP childish. What? 1. The man is living a fantasy through OP's wife, assuming he doesn't have kids or wanted kids with her. 2. He could be the father. 3. OP's wife may still have feelings for him. Sorry guys, no update, at least that I could find. Let's see what the community says. Jingle Hell TV says, not the a-hole, paternity test. Yo Slim Dickens says, not the a-hole at all. Childbirth is a very intimate thing, and you have every right to only want to share that moment with your wife and future children, and not her ex-boyfriend, regardless of if it's his dying wish. My parents are very conservative. They have 4 kids, Mark, who's child-free, Josh, who's gay, and Kate, who married a lower-class guy. I'm the 4th child. I married a guy from the same class as us, upper middle, and have had 2 kids. I'm the only child my parents approve of. My siblings decided to minimize contact with our parents because of their attitude. I did the same in solidarity. However, my parents have recently reached out with an offer. This offer has been sent to myself, Kate, and Josh. They want to see their grandkids. They're hosting gatherings every 2 weeks all year, ranging from dinner parties with just them and us, to actual parties with various relatives or business associates. Though the larger parties won't be happening for a while due to current events. If we agree to attend, then a trust fund will be created for each child, and for every appearance, they will put £100 into the fund, with extra money for Christmas, birthdays. They aren't BSing, they can't afford this. So this could work out to around $3,000 a year per child. They would create the fund, but they'd be willing to list me as an adult who can access it, so they couldn't just take it away. And it would be for my child when they're 21. My kids are 5 and 3, so they could earn around $50,000 each from now until they're 21. Josh's kids are adopted and a little older, ages 9, 11, and 14, but have the same offer, which means they stand to earn less, but will still have a decent amount. And Kate's son, who is less than a year old, stands to have the largest trust fund. While I don't think their classism or attitude towards my child-free sibling is okay, and I have made clear to my siblings I support them and to my parents that I don't condone their attitudes, I am considering this. When my husband married me, he got cut off by his family, who didn't approve we come from different faiths. We make decent money. We can afford rent on a 3-bed flat and have some savings, and are putting money away for our kids. But we can't afford to put money aside the way my parents can. We've been putting £20 a month per child into a savings account versus my parents' £200 a month in a trust fund, especially as current events are impacting our workplaces severely. And it would just be amazing to know our kids have that much set aside for them. If they didn't want to go, then we would never make them. But we're in the UK, so $50,000 is nearly enough to buy a flat or house in some areas without a mortgage, or pay off their student loans. And in exchange, all they have to do is see their grandparents for a couple of hours every 2 weeks. However, when my siblings got their offers, the exact same as mine, they were insulted, saying our parents were trying to buy our kids, And when I admitted I was considering it for the reasons stated above, they basically told me that I'm a terrible sister, mother, person for selling my children, and that it would be a giant duck you to all of them. My husband is the only person on my side, and my siblings are really upset with me. Would I be the a-hole if I went with it? Info. My kids love their grandparents. They saw them regularly when they were little. Then a couple years ago, when we all minimized contact with my parents, they went from seeing them weekly to seeing them a few times a year. Family events, weddings, funerals, the occasional birthday. And they do miss their grandparents. My kids would never be alone with them. We'd also be there, so it's not like they could brainwash my kids over dinner. Info. As to the conflict, or conflicts, with my siblings, here's what I saw personally. When my siblings were single, my parents would play matchmaker with people in our social circles that they approved of, much to my siblings' chagrin. There was another attempt at matchmaking while Josh was seeing his boyfriend, now husband, wherein Mom said that Josh's ex-girlfriend asked after him and asked him what went on there. And I personally witnessed 2 conversations when Mom asked Mark when she'd get grandkids. Then, a little under 2 years ago, around the time Kate got married, my siblings called a family meeting without our parents present. The 3 of them said that they needed to show our parents that their disrespect wouldn't be tolerated, and they'd all be going to minimal contact, and this wouldn't work unless I joined them. Then, when I agreed, we sent our parents a group message informing them. I was informed shortly after this that our parents had apologized, but it was insincere. It sounds like there were other incidents, but I've not personally seen anything other than stated, and no one has filled me in on any unseen incidents. I mean, it's a tricky situation in my opinion, but I would have to say OP is in the wrong here. OP and all her siblings should decline the offer, and state firmly that parents will only ever see their grandchildren if they fix their prejudiced attitudes. Also, OP said that she is also upper middle class, so it's not worth her selling her dignity for $3,000 a year. If OP's morals and beliefs are for sale for only $50,000, she should go ahead. Let's hear the community's opinion on the matter. Miley30 says, "Your parents sound like nasty pieces of work. I guess there are people who would sell access to their kids. But not to be too blunt, you're selling out awfully cheap. You're exposing your kids to not just a very cynical arrangement, but people who offer this sort of arrangement will also have the attitude that they own the kids and feel free to expose them to all their horrific beliefs. All for a very low price, barely more than one would make working a job for those same hours. And you're not even counting inflation, which means that pittance gets less valuable every year. No way this will buy them a house when they're 21. If you're truly making decent money, it's hard to believe you'd sell your kids and estrange your siblings for so cheap. You're the a-hole." Webby Vanderquack says, "His Holiness the Poop, 1401. Everyone sucks here. Don't do this. An event every 2 weeks with people you loathe is a lot, and you're teaching your kids that it's acceptable to milk people for money. The price is just too high." Is This Real Life says, "You're the a-hole. If you agree to be in solidarity, then be in solidarity. Also, it is gross to allow people you think of as evil into your kids' lives for money. You can put away money. It may not be as much, but guess what? Most kids don't get a huge trust fund. Some kids have to work hard." Update. I've given this a lot of thought, and I talked to my siblings once more. I asked for information, as I still don't know everything our parents did to offend them, and I asked them what it would take from our parents for us to all get back in touch. They responded that as I'm apparently the golden child, it's none of my business what kind of apology they're waiting for, and it's not up to me when we decide to get back in touch, because they approve of my life choices. Our parents would have to reach out to them with an apology. They will decide whether they accept it or not, and then if they do, they'll give me permission to get back in touch. But I don't get a say in whether we get back in touch. I'm waiting entirely on them to give the green light. I've decided to get back in touch with our parents. I'll start with just me and them, talking and trying to figure out if they reached out, because they genuinely miss us, or for more morally ambiguous reasons. I'll set firm boundaries in terms of how they can talk to my kids, with consequences for their actions. And if it looks like they're up to something, then I'll cut them out. I won't agree to my kids being paid by the appearance, because it does set a bad precedent, and if I'm going to reinstate the relationship, it has to be done in good faith. But I will be honest with my parents about what my husband and I can realistically set aside for our kids, and ask if they'd be willing to set up funds for our kids that isn't reliant on them attending events, as I can realistically see them agreeing to that. And if old attitudes resurface, then we'll cut contact again. So, I have a beautiful 9-year-old daughter who I'm going to call Mia. Mia was born into an absolute clusterduck of a situation. I'm going to try to keep the background short, but when I was 21, I worked at a trendy restaurant, lounge-type place, where I met John and Ivy. I was kind of struck by them. They just had this amazing charisma. They were both trust fund babies, and I got the impression early on that they had mega money. He was always a huge flirt, and Ivy used to joke about the three of us having fun, which I sort of brushed off. But once she approached me and said it was his birthday, and he really wanted that. I thought, what the hell? It's the sort of crazy thing you're supposed to do when you're young. Well, that's how we ended up with Mia. And I've spent the last 9 years trying to navigate this crap show and find a way to explain this all to Mia. I know John loves our daughter, but he has 2 adult children with Ivy, and I think he's just overparenting. He takes her every other weekend and is just the epitome of a Disney dad. Ivy and Mia get along great, and I'm just going to be honest. I'm jealous. Ivy has this cool career she gets to travel for. She's gorgeous, buys Mia whatever she wants, and I hate the way Mia looks at her like she's the coolest person ever. Ivy has admitted that she does things to upset me. She used to send Mia home with glitter, finger paint, anything noisy or messy, and it was always in a bag where I would see it. So Ivy had her 50th birthday a few days ago, and John wanted to pick Mia up for family dinner. She had a gift bag in her room with a gift she had made. My anniversary was a week ago, and the flowers my husband got me were pretty wilted. Now, I knew Ivy was having a hard time turning 50. She's stunning, and my dad used to say, no one is as touchy as an aging beauty, and I knew that she would get the joke. I put the flowers in the bag and told Mia I got some flowers at the grocery store. I knew she wouldn't look in the bag. She's horrible about checking for things, and literally leaves something at her dad's every weekend she is there. If it matters, Ivy's always been pretty sarcastic and unemotional. Now, I think it is important to mention that Ivy did not say anything bad in front of Mia. She just said, I think your mom let those sit too long, and thanked her for the gift she made. I get it was sort of petty, but I thought it was witty of me. John called the day after cursing at me, saying I ruined his wife's birthday. I humiliated her in front of her kids. She had to tell those kids that Daddy got a waitress pregnant during 3 of us having fun. Does she even care anymore? John thinks I'm an a-hole despite everything she's done over the years, because it was her birthday. And my husband thinks I should have given her a miniature coffin with the flowers. So, am I the a-hole? This woman has invited OP's daughter into her life as her own. Likely, she has to live with the guilt that she agreed to her husband's wishes, and has to deal with OP in the first place. I bet this isn't the first petty thing OP has done. I think OP should call her and apologize, and not blame it on some lame joke, because OP knows it wasn't that. Then OP should look at herself and figure out how to be a better person. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Serena says, you're the a-hole. You gave her wilted flowers as a birthday gift? Because you're jealous she's more successful and pretty than you are. How is that not an a-hole move? You didn't mention anything bad about her that would imply Ivy's anything less than a good stepmother. You hurt someone's feelings on their 50th birthday. Half a century is not just a random birthday, just because you're jealous. Nurse27 says, you're the a-hole. You actually gave wilted flowers to this woman who you knew was struggling with her age just to be petty? How old are you? This is ridiculous that you let jealousy of how your daughter views her to make you want to hurt this woman. Traveling Bride says, serious question. Why wouldn't you be the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You got pregnant with customers, and yet for 9 years, Ivy has been perfectly nice to your daughter. You should be grateful, really. A lot of people would have rejected her, the situation, and not been in her life at all, let alone a cool stepmom. I know you're jealous, but this was just petty. And at the expense of your daughter who loves your stepmom no less. I also don't think witty means what you think it means. I, male 36, and my sister, female 29, have been civil despite us being half-siblings. I'm Asian and she's white. My wife is Somalia, African American. My sister would call her a spoiled rotten woman anytime she'd come over. However, my sister stopped after a private conversation with my wife. My sister thought this because my wife talked about how growing up, she would get gold on her birthday from family members. My wife has a jewelry collection that has grown over the years. My wife is by no means a rotten woman. She's extremely charming, and besides my sister, I've never heard of anyone that dislikes her. So, about a week ago was my niece's 2nd birthday, and my sister invited my family. My wife and my sister were talking in separate rooms. At one point, someone from my sister's group complimented my wife's dress, and my sister took that as them complimenting her weight and said, "Well, we can't all maintain a size small. Some of us would rather take care of our children." Everyone was not only stunned, but very confused. My wife changed the subject and they continued to talk until it was time for cake and gifts. It was going very well. The kids were eating and my niece was loving her presents. But then it was our turn to give our gifts. She and I picked out a bracelet from the jewelry collection to give her with a card that said, "Dahab, from one gold girl to another." My wife also picked out a watch and a pair of earrings for my sister. How my wife could be so generous to a woman that, in my opinion, doesn't deserve it, I will never know. When my sister and her husband opened the gifts, the only one not smiling was my sister. My sister said, "Do I look like I need your handouts?" Awkward silence. My wife tried to explain that she wanted to get my niece something nice, but it seemed like everything my wife said just made her more angry. My sister began getting louder with my wife, saying, "What do you think? I'm too poor to give my daughter a nice gift?" I don't even raise my voice at my wife, and I'd be damned if anyone else did. So I told her to take our daughter and wait in the car. My sister then turned her anger on me. I tried to explain there were no taking sides, but my sister then said, "That bee is trying to make me look bad in front of my husband and friends in my home." That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I told my sister that her insecurities were not my wife's problem, and that the one-sided rivalry she had with her needed to stop. I then told her husband we would not come back until my sister fixed whatever hatred she had for my wife. Like I said, it's been a week, and all we've gotten is empty excuses. While I will admit I could have talked to my sister in private, she chose to invite my wife, just like she chose to yell at my wife in front of everyone. My mom thinks I was too harsh with my sister, while my dad applauds me for standing up for my wife. I would really like other people's view on this. Am I the a-hole? Boy OD says, "Not the a-hole. Your sister sure is, though, and is jealous of your wife. Good on you for standing up for your wife." Snoopets8873 says, "Not the a-hole. Well, your sister is a jerk, and I also think this is a major cultural misunderstanding from her. Giving gold and jewelry to girls and women in some countries is tradition, to build their safety net. It's really not a flex or bragging, though I have had friends who reacted like that when I showed a gift I was given, because that kind of jewelry seems not to be as common in some Western cultures, especially for younger women. It originated as a security for women when things go wrong. My aunt's maid in India saved for years to give her daughter 2 gold bangles, for example, so she would have something in case her marriage went badly. It is also a sign of love to gift your own jewelry to other women in the family. When my mom got married, her aunts all gave her a piece from their jewelry collection. Her future sister-in-law did too, to welcome her. I have set aside gold items for my niece, just a baby now, so I'll wait until she is older. But she already has gold items from my parents. Your wife was showing her love and sharing her culture, and your sister can't seem to see past her own hatred and bitterness." Bailey the Nerd says, "Not the a-hole, OP. Your sister is the absolute worst and is projecting her own insecurities about her quality as a person, a mother, a wife, on your wife.